And we're live. Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and welcome back for another Friday afternoon live broadcast. Today, we're going to be taking some time to smile. We've started the season. It is the season to be jolly. And I'm trying to do everything that I can to help the viewers just relax a little this year. And that includes, that includes myself, I don't mind telling you. But if those of you who might be new, let me just explain how we do this. Excuse me. For the first little while, we do news, views, and updates. We're like a big extended family. And so we like to keep up to date with what everybody's doing. And so if you're watching on the replay, you're going to notice in the notes below, hi, Jody, you're going to notice in the notes below that it's going to say from 00 to this time, news, views, and updates, and then from another time onwards, it's going to say the topic of the day, which is today, time to smile. For those of you who might be ghosting, that means that you're watching, but not necessarily joining in on the chat. We welcome you. We've had so many viewers that have done that for a long time before they ever came into the chat. Just to let you know, hi, Amal, how are you doing? Just to let you know that if you are ghosting and you decide to join in the chat, please understand that I may well ask you whether I can repeat certain things. The regulars know that if they type it up here, that basically is giving me permission to be able to broadcast it out loud for the world and the replay. So I just like to warn the people who might be in for, who are new, just give them a heads up if there's something that I think they might not want to share publicly. So, and how do we do that? At the end of the broadcast, I have to wait until the stream is actually processed. Once it's processed, I will take off the chat. Sometimes that takes 10 minutes, sometimes a bit longer. All right, so that's all that side of it. And any news from Jody and Amel for today? And for the rest of you, just so that you know, we have just 14 days and 3 hours until the next December. I'm wearing my December shirt. And that's scary, isn't it? This time, in 2 weeks' time, I'll be sitting there about to do 24 hours straight. If I still can make it to the Team No Sleep. I'm not going to push myself to be on Team No Sleep this year because I think they've got it planned in such a way that we can actually take a break. But you know me well enough that I don't rest well as long as we are raising money. So that's good fun. For those of you who need to know, you have got 24 days until Christmas. So we're going to be talking about that tonight. For those of you who don't know, on a Friday evening, the broadcast we do for the next few weeks is going to be all about Christmas. And for those of you like me who don't do winter well, we have got 110 days until spring. Anyway, which I'm one of those people. I just don't do winter well. I admire people who do. Amel, in answer to your question, will we be doing T-shirts? I believe they are, and they will announce them when they're ready. I think they're going to do it a different way. You know, I think they're going to... from what I gather, they are going to, you know, have an organization do it totally aside so that we're not involved in it, which will save me a lot of stress, I must admit, in terms of trying to follow up on things. So, but knowing the viewers, they'll still contact me and want to know. It's a really dangerous thing to have set yourself up to be the problem solver because, you know, everybody's got your number. And at the moment, I've got over 7,000 people on the street team who have my number. Well, say I have my number, but they have my messenger account. So Facebook and messages. So, you know, I get a lot of comments coming in. And I've noticed, I don't know if you noticed it. I asked Andrea, depending on how she pronounces it, in Berlin to send me an update picture of little baby Lily. And I was thinking we've got two baby Lilies in the family at the moment, haven't we? We've got the grandbaby Lily for birth, and then we've got baby Lily is in Germany. So, but it was really cute to see an update picture. You're asking, do I live in the same city where Benji lives? No, I live in a different country. I am in Canada, and Benji is in the States. But I will travel down there for the broadcast. So, in terms of thoughts and prayers, I don't know if you saw it. First of all, let me just say that we heard that Lauren's sister went home. For those of you who heard about that, it turned out that the supposed stroke she was having turned out to be some sort of incident she was having from a major migraine. And she went home, and Jody, if I got it right, she had something happen, but I don't think she went back to hospital. I didn't get an update on that. So if you did, please let me know. Erin wrote to me, I hope you all saw that on the Facebook page, and if you didn't, please check that out. She wrote to me and gave me quite a bit of information about what's happening to her. Let me see if I can find it. Just hold on one second. Because, you know, that kid's another one that, you know, definitely, I say kid, but you know, she really deserves a break. She's been in and out of hospital, but she did get home, I heard. So I was very excited to hear that. Yeah, she said that she's been home since Monday night. And so it sounds like everything's going fairly well. She's just waiting for the numbers to come back. Once she's got the numbers back, she's going to know you know, whether she needs to have extra treatment. The problem with Erin, of course, is that she gets infections and she has to go on steroids to help her with those. So it's very difficult for her because she also isn't allowed to be on steroids, I think, in some way. Yeah, that's right, Jody. Now that you mentioned that, I remember that. Yes, Jody's just reminding me that Lauren's sister Louise was a little bit confused when she went home. And they were concerned about that because that wasn't something that she should have, you know, it's like she was confused on how to use a phone and how to do a couple of other things, if I remember correctly. So we're hoping that all will be well, and there's only one way to find out. So they're going to phone the doctor and just make sure that she's okay to be at home. All right, that's great. Thanks for the update, Jody. I appreciate it. All right, we've done the days until Christmas. That's good. And the birthday coming up will be Pat's on the 2nd, just so that you know that. Anybody else's birthday this week that you know of? If so, let me know. I just wanted to say that my thoughts and prayers go out to the people in Alaska who've just been through a 7 on a Richter scale earthquake, and all the damage that's been done to the infrastructure. And, you know, it's bad enough if you're in California, but if you're sitting in Alaska with snow on the ground and, you know, you've got major infrastructure, the roads are down in certain places. I can't help thinking, you know, when you weren't expecting an earthquake, you know, do you have enough food in the house? Do you have enough, you know, whatever you need? And it's a big wake-up call for us all to just be really careful that we have stuff in the house that will last more than a couple of days. Jody, any updates on the eating better thing? We continue to be, I definitely noticed that I am loving having pre-prepped food. There's something about being able to just go to the fridge and pull out a box of food and know that most of it is healthy. It really does make quite a difference to the way in which you eat. I can't say I'm noticing it in my weight in any way. That's probably because I'm not behaving myself properly. But the main thing is I know that I am overall eating a lot more healthily. In terms of one step ahead, and I will talk about this more tonight, but I have got the Christmas tree up vertical. I have got half the decorations up and on it. And so I'm quite proud of that. I see that the star of the top of it is beginning to fall down, but I'll sort that out a little bit later. And so I'm really happy. And in case you don't make it to tonight's broadcast, watching this on the replay, this is the week that if you haven't got your overseas cards in the mail this week, best of luck. Well, I'm just saying they probably won't. They might arrive, but they might not arrive in time. You feel so much better, Jody. Yes, and I must admit that is my experience as well. Just hold on one second, because you know I've got allergy problems. All right, so I'm glad that that we don't have anything major. I was just trying to imagine though, can you imagine being one of those people in Alaska and freezing cold temperatures and no infrastructure and maybe not the ability to get to a store to pick something up? I don't know about you, but that's scary, really scary. So I am blessed that I don't live there. Right. For those of you who are ready to do this, we are going to smile a bit today. Hopefully. I thought we'd have some fun quotes for a change. And it's a time check, Jody, if I can give that to you, of 12:30. 12 minutes, 30 seconds. Not 12:30 in time. It's in case anybody's going, wait a minute, what's she talking about? It's not 12:30. So we are going to now have a little chat about some fun quotes. And the way that we do this, in case you haven't been with us when we do this before, I'm going to read a quote. And then what happens is anybody happens to be on the chat will give me some feedback about what that brings up in their brain. And the reason why I love to do these quotes is because if we read the same quotes this time next week, when our lives will be completely different, they will have a different effect on us. And so this is always fun when we do these quotes to see where we're at today. And the one that I wanted to start off with was, before you judge a man, walk a mile in his shoes. After that, who cares? He's a mile away and you have his shoes. I don't know why I thought that was quite funny. Yeah, that amused me, I must admit. Yeah, and then the famous quote from Abraham Lincoln, and it's funny because this one was relevant for this week for me, which was, better to remain silent and be thought of a fool than to speak and remove all possible doubt. Yeah, that's, I must admit that I saw, I don't know if you saw it, but I had a quote up somewhere where it said, sometimes it is better just to say nothing and smile. And I wrote back and said, yeah, does anybody have the zipper for my lips? Do any of you relate to this? Which is, I mean not to say anything. It is my intent not to say anything. But, being who I am, that doesn't always pan out the way I want it to. And the next thing that I wanted to say was, it's amazing how many funny quotes there are from Abraham Lincoln. I don't know about you, but when I think about Honest Abe, I don't think about him being a comic. And this is the next one. And he says that the best thing about the future is it comes just one day at a time. Yeah, it sort of gives us time to prepare. And how's your week been in terms of that? I mean, I did fairly well this week. I'll be talking more about that this evening because a lot of the stuff I was working on was Christmas stuff. But I really do find that I have to be very aware of my focus. I don't know if any of you find that as well, which is I get so easily distracted that it is scary for me. I will go into the kitchen to specifically do something, and an hour later I'm going, I still haven't done that. Do any of you relate to that? And so I realize that the thing I have to work on in order to keep this season joyful is to stay focused on what it is I have to do. And I just wanted to know if any of you relate to that, which is you get sidetracked really easily. And, the one thing that I must say that I think that in a way, women have a problem with this because they can multi-think things. Yeah, Jodie's saying the same thing. She's having focused issues right now as well. You're behind on your holiday to-do list, right? And the only reason you're behind, Jodie, is because you haven't been focused on it, right? You haven't given it the time. Or have you given it the time, but it's taking longer than you thought? I found it incredible that I gave focus yesterday to 3 international cards that I knew I needed to mail today, and I'm going to be mailing them between the 2 broadcasts. And the interesting thing is that it took me basically all day to make those 3 cards or finish them because they were half made, and get them ready to mail because, I had stuff in them. So I needed custom forms and all that stuff. So I really do recommend that if, and I'm going to talk more to this tonight, but focus is what we need now. All right, are you ready for a smile? I like this one. It says, the only mystery in life is why did the kamikaze pilots wear helmets? And for those of you who don't know what a kamikaze pilot was, they were Japanese pilots who actually left Japan with the intent to actually literally dive bomb into American ships or like in Pearl Harbor, but they knew they weren't returning, right? The whole mission was not to return. That was to do a not even death-defying, but to actually, dive bomb into something whereby they would die. So why were they wearing helmets? A very good question. I agree, Jodie. All right, and this one I liked as well. It said, light travels faster than sound. That's why some people appear bright until you hear them speak. Yep. All right, so I'm afraid I fall into that category. All right, so now then, nobody realizes that some people expend tremendous energy merely to be normal. Actually, talking about that, I noticed that one of the viewers was absolutely stressing out. Well, it sounded like she was stressing out over something that hadn't arrived the day that it was meant to. And I'm thinking, did you forget that it's time for parcels? Anybody who gets a parcel on the day they're expecting it at the moment is a very fortunate person, and especially for those of us here in Canada, because we've got rotating strikes going on. Yeah, well, Jodie, I'm glad you think I don't fall into that category, but I assure you that it is my belief that I do. All right, so men marry women with the hopes that they will never change. Women marry men with the hopes that they will change. Invariably, they are both disappointed. Now, you never guess who said that. That was Albert Einstein. Or women marry men thinking that they can change them. Yeah, right. Famous one. The difference between stupidity and genius is that genius has its limits. Yeah, whereas stupidity doesn't, apparently. And that, again, was another Albert Einstein, again, not known for being a comic, but how about that? So, now this one, this one is funny in a way. War is God's way of teaching Americans geography. I don't know why I find that so amusing, but I do. All right, so, and this one, if it weren't so true, it would be twice as funny. Hi, Aaron. It would be nice to spend billions on schools and roads, but right now the money's desperately needed for political ads. Yeah, how much, I'm certain I'm not the only one that goes, boy, if we could put all the money that's put into political ads into feeding the homeless or housing the homeless, wouldn't that be something? Billions. And how many of you agree that the average dog is a nicer person than the average person? Aaron, I did give a bit of an update about you at the beginning here. So if there's any change since the update that we put up on Facebook, I'm sorry, I'm looking down because have you ever accidentally scratched something? And I've got blood everywhere. Well, not everywhere, but it's, just refusing to stop for some reason. This is a nice quote. If you've ever been in this situation, you will relate. At every party, there are two kinds of people: those who want to go home and those who don't. The trouble is, they're usually married to one another. I've been there. Anne Landers said that, and if you want children to really listen, try talking very softly to someone. Yeah. Yikes! This one is a difficult one. Hi, Kerry. Welcome. I don't believe in astrology. I'm a Sagittarius, and we're skeptical. Yeah, that's cute. All right. And how about, my opinions have changed, but not in the fact that I am right. Yeah, it's part of my learning this year is to remember for the rest of this year and next year and every year thereafter, that being happy is way better than being right. I am inclined to get a little bit on the I need to be right scale. Do any of you relate to that? Where really 9 times out of 10, it's much easier. Actually, tomorrow I'm going to have lunch with my friend Marnie, and she's really good about not trying to be right. If you say something that with which she totally disagrees, it's amazing how she will say, That's interesting that you see it that way, or something. But she won't go, you're wrong, or I heard da 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 da. Now, if you say to her, okay, that normally means that you have a different view, so let's hear it. Even then, she will be hesitant to share the view. Not because she doesn't want to share it, but she doesn't want, it's not important to her to be right. And so that's why, of course, whenever she does that to me, I immediately go and double check all my facts. And you'll be amazed how many times I have to go back and go, okay, fine. I did a bit of extra digging and this is what I found out. So, yeah, apparently you were correct on this. Be who you are and say what you feel. Because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. Now, how many of you love that freedom? To have a friend where you can actually say what you feel and they will not judge you for it. And that's why I always say to people, it's really important to understand what a safe person is. A safe person isn't just a friend, from my experience, because some friends are not necessarily safe people. Safe people are people that you can vent to and they will not judge you for it, nor will they rush to share that information with somebody else. They know what it is just a vent. You just need to let go. And I think that's really important to have those sort of people in your life. And I'm very grateful for the people I have in my life that I can do that with. This is cute. Facebook sounds like a drag. In my day, seeing pictures of people's vacation was considered punishment. Or imagine in the olden days if we'd had people over for dinner just to show them the pictures of what we've been eating. Yeah, and by the way, that was Betty White who said that. Now, Bill Mayer, I have good days and bad days on that guy, but this is cute. He said, everything that used to be a sin is now a disease. Think about that. If there's anything the nonconformist hates worse than a conformist, is another nonconformist who doesn't conform to the prevailing standard of nonconformity. Yeah, that is a lot of words in there, but I totally get it. The surest sign that intelligent life exists elsewhere in the universe is that it has never tried to contact us. Why do I find that so funny? And how about, I've always wanted to go to Switzerland to see what their army really does with those little red knives. How many of you have got a Swiss Army knife in your house? Or a cheap knockoff of it? Now then, this is a good quote. If you're going to tell people the truth, be funny or they'll kill you. Yeah, you got to be. Oh, that's your dad, Aaron, right? With the Swiss Army knife? Yeah, this one, unfortunately, is although it's funny, it is also horribly true. A bank is a place that will lend you money if you can prove that you don't need it. I don't know about the rest of you, but that is so true. It is the scariest thing in a way. And by the way, Bob Hope said that, for those of you who might be old enough to remember Bob Hope. I like this one. It says, inside me, there's a thin person struggling to get out, but I can usually sedate him with about 4 or 5 cupcakes. In my case, it is chocolate-covered popsicles. And then I wonder if any of you relate to this one. We never really grow up. We just learn how to act in public. Or in my case, not so much. Yeah, as a child, my family's menu consisted of 2 choices. Take it or leave it. And how many of you grew up with, I brought you into this life and I can take you out? I always thought that was such a vicious thing to say to a child. And yet I'm amazed how many people I've heard say that. But the fact that some geniuses were laughed at does not imply that all who are laughed at are geniuses. They laughed at Columbus, they laughed at Fulton, they laughed at the Wright brothers, but they also laughed at Bozo the Clown. And Carl Sagan said that. This one's got my name on it as well. My favorite machine at the gym is the vending machine. Or how about, he who laughs last didn't get the joke. And by the way, Charles de Gaulle said that. That's the ex-president of France. And again, another man I didn't think had a sense of humor, but apparently did. Yeah, I like this. Hi, Nada. Good to see you. We're doing fun quotes today, just so that you know. I always arrive late at the office, but I make up for it by leaving early. And don't worry about the world coming to an end today. It's already tomorrow in Australia. And Charles Schultz, of peanut fame, said that. And this one is so true, isn't it? By the time a man realizes his father was right, his son, he has a son who already thinks he's wrong. Yeah, isn't that the truth? It takes you that long to realize, something? Yeah, maybe they were right. A day without laughter is wasted. How many of you agree with that? How many of you go out of your way to bring laughter into your days? I actually don't have to bring laughter into my days. I just have to watch what I do. I don't know about you, but I am my own best comedian. I do things every day and I start to laugh and I go, really? Yeah. You did that? Really? And I stand there and I just start to laugh. I wonder if I'm losing it. I guess it's possible, isn't it? Sure. How about high heels were invented by a woman who had been kissed on the forehead? When I was a boy, I was told that anybody could become president. Now I'm beginning to believe it. Yeah. That would be really funny if it weren't so true, right? A stockbroker urged me to buy a stock that would triple in its value every year. I told him, at my age, I don't even buy green bananas. Beginning to understand that one as well. Or how about, they say that marriages were made in heaven. But then so is the thunder and the lightning. And Clint Eastwood said that, if you can believe that. This one is one from Conan O'Brien. He said, a study in the Washington Post says that women have better verbal skills than men. I just want to say to the authors of that study, duh. Lordy, lordy. And another one from Conan says, Starbucks say they're going to start putting religious quotes on cups. The very first one will say, Jesus, this cup's expensive. The green bananas. He understood that one. Good. I'm glad, Jody. Laughing at our mistakes can lengthen our own life. Laughing at somebody else's can shorten it. Yeah. Now, does anybody know who said this quote? And the reason I say that, because it's a well-known quote, but I don't think many people know who came up with it. It's, if you think you're too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito in the room. Any idea who said that? And because if any of you, like myself, have ever been terrorized by a mosquito, you will know that that is a very true statement. It actually was the Dalai Lama. I didn't know that. And this one, a lot of the viewers need to remember. Remember, today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday. And surprisingly enough, that was Dale Carnegie who said that. How about, it is a scientific fact that your body will not absorb cholesterol if you take it from another person's plate. How many of you are stealers of other people's food when you go out to eat? I always thought that that was one of the advantages of being married. You could do it without even thinking. Maybe that's why I wasn't married for very long. And how about this one? I used to jog, but the ice cubes kept falling out of my drink. How about, everybody has a purpose in life. Perhaps yours is watching television. And that was from David Letterman. A failure is like fertilizer. It stinks, to be sure, but it makes things grow faster in the future. Isn't that truthful? Now, this is interesting. Biologically speaking, if somebody bites you, it's more likely to be a female. Now, that actually Desmond Morris wrote that. And if you don't know who Desmond Morris was, other than the fact he was Mrs. Morris's little baby boy, if you don't know who Desmond Morris was, he actually wrote a book called The Territorial Imperative, if I remember that correctly. And it was all about body language within primates and things. And it was a fascinating book. So the chances are he's actually talking the truth here, that biologically speaking, if somebody bites you, it's more likely to be female. And by the way, if you have the ability to read a serious book, even today, I think in a way that book, The Territorial Imperative, changed my life because it made me really understand body language at a whole different level. And in fact, it made me interested in body language. And I went on to study it a great deal more. And I think it's really been something that has helped me a great deal in my life. Because I no longer believe what people say. I watch what they do while they're saying it. And, you know, it's amazing how you can see the difference. A pessimist is a person who hasn't listened to too many optimists. You know, isn't that the truth? And I say that because if you spend your life, I think I put up a quote about that yesterday as well, you know, which is if you spend your life around negative people, don't be surprised if your feelings are negative. If you grew up with parents who constantly, you know, criticize people, don't be surprised if you end up being somebody who judges people a lot. And so sometimes I think it's so sad. Jody, I think it was Lauren who put up there was a thing yesterday about some woman who had called her daughter ABCD, literally ABCD, and then got upset when somebody at the check-in counter at the airline posted that up on Facebook, and, you know, probably sued them for shaming her daughter. You know, who calls their daughter ABCD? I don't know about you. I think there needs to be a well, no, I suppose you can't really determine that, can you? I was just saying that there needs to be a law against doing that, but you can't really stop anybody calling their child whatever they want to. The only thing that I would say is that when they get to school, can you imagine the trauma that child is going to go through and not understand why, probably? You know, why so many people have a problem with their name. So to me, it's just like, it's so selfish when we give children these strange names. I think it's totally selfish, but that's just my feeling. Let me put the zipper on my lips here. Yes, I agree, Jody. That poor kid is going to go through so much bullying when she goes to school, unless she is smart enough to change her name before she goes to school. You know, that is the difficulty. And you can't help but feel sorry for a lot of teachers today because there's so many children with strange names. And this is a quote that never doubt the courage of the French, for they were the ones who discovered that snails are edible. Yep. All right, this one definitely I love. It says to err is human. To admit it, superhuman. To err is human. To admit it, superhuman. How many of you need this one in your vocabulary? Your little book of good replies. I refuse to answer that question on the grounds that I don't know the answer. Right. There is a theory which states that if ever anyone discovers exactly what the universe is for and why it is here, it will instantly disappear and be replaced by something even more bizarre and inexplicable. There's another theory which states that this has already happened. Yeah. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. How many of you? I always try and remind people, with the passing of people or pets about that one. Try very hard to concentrate on the good memories, not the selfish bit, which is how sad you are to be without them, but rather concentrate on the good memories that you had and were able to share, however short some of those memories may be. It's a really important thing. How many of you know this one? I was born to make mistakes, not to fake perfection. I think that's, that definitely is on my list. Yeah. And I don't know about the rest of you, but my question always is, I wonder how many mistakes I'll make today. But I do know that every day I make a mistake, I'm trying something. You know what I mean? It's like, you can't make a mistake if you don't try something. So any day I make a mistake, it means I'm trying something new, 9 times out of 10, something I'm not perfect at. And I give myself a brownie point for mistakes because it reminds me I had the courage to try something different. And how many of you know that we get caught up into these little channels where we don't get out of our comfort zone? And that's why I try to, especially like Christmas time, right? I try to do something new each year just so I can have that experience of expanding my knowledge on something. Do not take life too seriously, because you'll never get out of it alive. That's so true. One of my favorite quotes from Eleanor Roosevelt, and by the way, she had a lot of really good quotes. I should almost do, Jody, perhaps you can make a note that I need to do a program on the quotes of Eleanor Roosevelt, because she did have some incredibly good quotes. A woman is like a tea bag. You can't tell how strong she is until you put her in hot water. And that is so true. And this is from Ellen DeGeneres. She said, my grandmother started walking 5 miles a day when she was 60. She's 97 now, and we don't know where the hell she is. A computer once beat me at chess, but it was no match for me at kickboxing. How many of you can see that visual? I asked God for a bike, but I know God doesn't work that way. So I stole the bike and I asked for forgiveness. There's such truth in that. It says, never go to a doctor whose office plants have died. Now, this one is a bit of wisdom, and it came from Irma Bombach. She says, never have more children than you have car windows. Yeah, isn't that true, right? It says that marriage is the only war in which you get to sleep with the enemy. Which may be true in a lot of cases and not in some. And this is like, I can't understand why a person would take a whole year to write a novel when he can actually just go out and buy one for a couple of bucks. Hi, Kiz. Or how about we're doing funny quotes today, Kiz. The first time I sang in the church choir, 200 people changed their religion. And this one is from George Bernard Shaw, and he said, patriotism is your conviction that this country is superior to all others because you were born in it. Yeah, we know a couple of people who believe that one. George Bernard Shaw said, we learn from experience that men never learn anything from experience. And George Burns, married to Gracie Allen, said, happiness is having a large, loving, caring, close-knit family in another city. I don't know. A couple of us will understand this one at a whole different level. Again, from George Burns, he said, "You know you're getting old when you stoop to tie your shoelaces and wonder, what else can I do while I'm down here?" I so relate to that. I want to tell you, I really relate to that. I think you've got to be old to get that one. Yeah, and have you noticed that anyone driving slower than you is an idiot, and anyone driving faster than you is a maniac? I've learned to control that one. I must admit, one of the things I'm really proud of myself for is I now know I do not own the road, and I now give way to people who didn't have enough time management to get there in time, and therefore think the road belongs to them. I actually smile and say to myself, I refuse to let you ruin my day, because I used to, and I don't allow that anymore. George Carlin said, I was thinking about people. I was thinking about how people actually read the Bible a lot more when they get older. And then it dawned on me, they're cramming for their final exam. This one definitely applies to me at the moment. I'm in shape. Round is a shape. Yeah. Yeah, I thought a couple of you would enjoy that one. Yeah, Jody relates to that one as well. Again, from George Carlin, 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila, floor. One tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila, floor. That's funny. This is a delightful quote. To those of you who receive honors, awards, and distinctions, I say, well done. And to the C students, I say to you, you too can become president of the United States. Now, that's a president with a sense of humor, and it was George W. Bush. You know, you got to have a sense of humor to I believe, maybe you do as well. I think the greatest sense of humor is self-deprecating, when you can laugh at yourself, which I have to spend a lot of time doing. Now, this one came from Groucho Marx. And if you knew who Groucho Marx was, then you will understand the quote. He said, behind every successful man is a woman, and behind her is wife. Sad, but unfortunately, probably quite true. And another one from him, he said, if you find it hard to laugh at yourself, I'd be happy to do it for you. Or how about a judge is a law student who marks his own exam papers? The two most common elements in the universe are hydrogen and stupidity. Yeah, they're like that. Okay, this one is a little sad, but true. It's only when you look at an ant through a magnifying glass on a sunny day that you realize how often they burst into flames. Or it's a recession when your neighbor loses his job. It's a depression when you lose yours. That's clever. And before marriage, a man declares he would lay down his life to serve you. After marriage, he won't even lay down his newspaper to talk to you. And life begins at 40, but so do fallen arches, rheumatism, faulty eyesight, the tendency to tell a story to the same person 3 or 4 times. By the way, that's a question I wanted to ask people. What do you do when somebody does start to tell you the same story and you already know it? You know, what do you do? Do you let them continue? Okay, Jody says she lets them tell it. I must admit that I would not want somebody to let me retell a story that they already heard. I have to tell you, I always say to myself, what if I turned the mirror on this one? Would I want someone just to be polite to listen to a story of the second time? And so what I will do, I'll go, wait a minute. Is this the one where da 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 da? And they'll go, yeah. And I go, okay, I have heard that one. Yeah, and you did tell me that one. And I'm really pleased that you did, because I love the bit where, you know, and I try and turn it around quickly into a positive. But, you know, I have to ask you that, Jody, would you want me to let you tell a story that you'd already told me? Honestly. Just to be polite. Okay, so you're saying no. Why? Why would you not want me to let you do that? You see, that's why I like to ask those questions, because I would be surprised if you had said yes. And so my question to you is, if you wouldn't put me through that, why would you put other people through that? Think about that. Yeah, you'd feel bad. That's right. And I want to tell you something. If somebody allowed me to tell a story for a second time and later I found out I'd already told them, I'd be embarrassed. And therefore, that's why I try to do it with humor, and go, wow, is this the one where da-da-da-da-da? Love that bit where da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Because that sort of stops it, but it still has a positive edge to it. Makes sense. So give that some thought, everybody. If you wouldn't like somebody to sit through your story twice, why would you sit through somebody else's story twice? Good question, right? Because society says that we should. I think that's wrong. Now, this is not, I'm not talking about somebody with Alzheimer's or somebody that, that is, too old to realize that they've done it. But even then, I wonder. If you tried your best and failed miserably, then you know the lesson is never try. No, I don't believe that one. But Homer Simpson did. My grandfather told me once that there were two kinds of people: those who do the work and those who take the credit. He told me to try to be in the first group. There was way less competition. Indira Gandhi said that. I'm actually quite surprised about that. Right. So, yes. Now, that's a whole different thing. I think when you're talking... yes, I think if you're going to be a nurse's aide helping geriatric patients, I believe that you should let the patients tell their stories if they need to. Yes, I agree with you. But I think that is different. I'm talking socially. I'm not talking about patients or, geriatrics. I'm talking, just what if your friend starts to tell you a story? Now, how do you like this one? People who think they know everything are a great annoyance to those of us who do. Now, that was written by Isaac Asimov. Now, if you don't know who Isaac is, he wrote a lot of science fiction, I believe. I think I'm right in that. I know I read some of his. Yeah, so Jody, that's it. That's good that you can see that, right? You get it now, that you'd want to know that if you told it before. Yeah. And by the way, I found that when people are kind enough to tell me this, when they, Marty will tell me, if I start to tell Marnie something she's already heard, she'll stop me in a nice way. And then I'll go, so you remember the punchline was da 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 da. I need to do that so I can carry on. But maybe that's why I love talking to my friend Marnie. All right, because this isn't about socially correct. This is about, I'm your friend. I'm not going to let you do that to me. Or how about this one? My wife, Mary, and I have been married for 47 years now, and not once have we had an argument serious enough to consider divorce. Murder, yes, but divorce, never. From the wisdom of Jack Benny. Money is not the most important thing in the world. Love is. Fortunately, I love money. And how about this one? When we talk to God, we're praying. But when God talks to us, we're schizophrenic. Hi, Linda. Good to see you. Men are like shoes. Some fit better than others. And sometimes you go out shopping and there's nothing you like. And then, as luck would have it, the next week you find two that are perfect, but you don't have the money to buy both. According to a new survey, 90% of men say their lover is also their best friend, which is really kind of disturbing when you think that man's best friend is his dog. That was from Jay Leno. And then here's another one-liner from Jay Leno. Here's something to think about. How come you never read the headline, "Psychic wins lottery"? And this one is very true if you happen to be a YouTuber or anybody. Haters are just confused admirers because they can't figure out the reason why everybody loves you. That's so true. Or Jerry Seinfeld, who said, "It's amazing the amount of news that happens in the world every day. Always just exactly fits into the newspaper." All right, so laugh a lot. It burns a lot of calories. Jessica Simpson said that. Or how about, do any of you relate to this one? The simple act of opening a bottle of wine has brought more happiness to the human race than all the collective governments in the history of the earth. The simple act of opening a bottle of wine. Yeah. There's something very leveling about opening a bottle of wine. Americans are incredibly impatient. Somebody once said the shortest period of time in America is the time between the light turning green and when you hear the first honk, honk. Isn't that the truth? Forgive your enemies, but never forget their names. Now, you'd probably be surprised to hear that John F. Kennedy said that. Or how about life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. Isn't that the truth? Wow. Life is hard. And it's harder if you're stupid. Wow, that's truthful. That's John Wayne said that. If life was fair, Elvis would be alive and all the impersonators would be dead. By the way, I'm struggling with the English there because my mommy is telling me after if and wish comes were. So the correct quote would be, if life were fair, not was, because after if comes were. After if and wish comes were. But never mind, Johnny Carson, I'll forgive you. Flattery is like cologne water. It should be smelt, not swallowed. Or I'm a legend in my own mind, right? I've never really met anyway. You know, I love meeting people like that. Hello, I believe he's a legend in his own mind. Okay, the greatest thief of this world has ever produced is procrastination. And he's still at large in my house. Yeah. The secret of a demagogue is to make himself as stupid as his audience so that they believe they are as clever as he is. Wow. No comment on that one. And the safest way to double your money is to fold it over and put it back in your pocket. I like this one. I don't know if any of you can relate to this. True terror is waking up one morning to discover that your high school class is now running the country. I can always remember meeting some people that I started work with. And, you know, I met them sort of 20 years later. And I said, I don't know about you, but it's really scary to think that we're actually got, you know, we all had really good positions at the time. And I said, you know, it really scares me because I know how you guys think. And they said, yeah, and we know how you think, Sal, and look where you are. You know? That's the funny thing about life. We are rarely aware of the bullets that we dodge, the just misses, the almost never happens. We spend so much time worrying about the future, how the future is going to play out, and not really enough time admiring the precious perfection of the present. Yeah, that is so true. Original. This is nice. Originality is the fine art of remembering what you hear but forgetting where you heard it. Yeah. And this one, if you're too open-minded, your brains will fall out. I always wanted to be somebody, but now I realize I should have been more specific. Or how about, until you value yourself, you won't value your time. Until you value your time, you will not do anything with it. M. Scott Peck, Road Less Traveled, I believe, wrote that. All right, how many of you relate to this one? Cleaning up with children around is like shoveling during a blizzard. Yeah, I've seen that one. And do you know who said age is an issue of mind over matter? If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. You know who said that? Apparently Mark Twain. And he also said, be careful about reading health books. You may die of a misprint. That's very true, isn't it? Be careful about reading health books. You may die of a misprint. Wow. And he also said, if clothes maketh man, naked people have little or no influence on society. You're smart, Cookie. And never put off until tomorrow what you can do the day after tomorrow. The only way to keep your health is to eat what you don't want to, drink what you don't like, and to do what you'd rather not. Yeah, right. Yeah. You know, do not make the mistake of treating your dogs like humans, or they will treat you like dogs. Think about that one. For any of you that are controlled by your dogs, it's because you treated them like humans, not because you treated them like dogs. In the past 10,000 years, humans have devised roughly 100,000 religions based on roughly 2,500 gods. So the only difference between myself and the believers is that I am skeptical of the 2,500 gods, whereas they are skeptical of 2,499 gods. We're only one God away from total agreement. Oh, what did I do here? Hang on 1 second. So my question to you while I'm reloading this is, what made you laugh out of these? Which one? Did any of them, can you remember any of them? Sorry, I just accidentally, I don't know how it did it, but it nuked my... Here we go. Hi, Nyasha, how are you doing? We're actually reading out some fun quotes today. I'm nearly there. Okay, I'm all right. Nyasha, that infers that... Yeah, the green bananas. Yep. This is an interesting. This is an interesting quote, and I find it interesting because of who said it. He said this. He said, "It's just a job. Grass grows, birds fly, waves pound the sand. I beat up people." Muhammad Ali said that. It's just a job. Grass grows, birds fly, waves pound the sand. I beat people up. Yep. I can't remember, Nyasha. Okay, so here's another one for those of us who are a little older. As you get older, three things happen. The first, your memory goes. I can't remember the other two. Yeah, I'm living that. Oh, now this one is very true, right? A woman's mind is cleaner than a man's. She changes it more often. Or how about always borrow money from a pessimist? He won't expect it back. Or how about, I'm so clever that sometimes I don't understand a single word of what I'm saying. And that could only have been said by Oscar Wilde. He also said, women are meant to be loved, not understood. Or how many of you relate to this one? To err is human, but to really foul things up, you need a computer. Yeah, that is so true. How many of you remember when they told us many, many years ago that we would save so much paper by using a computer? Yeah, right. And then how about, I want my children to have all the things I couldn't afford, and then I want to move in with them. We spend the first 12 months of our children's lives teaching them to walk and talk. And then the next 12 years telling them to sit down and shut up. Phyllis Diller. No, it says do borrow money from a pessimist, not don't. Do borrow money from a pessimist. They won't expect it back. For those of you who know of Ralph Waldo Emerson, he said, I dream of a better tomorrow where chickens can cross the road and not be questioned about their motives. When you're in love, the most gorgeous 2.5 hang on, let me try that again. When you're in love, it's the most gorgeous 2.5 days of your life. Or how about lead me not into temptation? I can find the way myself. It's called my fridge, right? I love being married. It's so great to find one special person you want to annoy for the rest of your life. And Rita Rudner said that, and she was married to Gene Wilder, right? All right, what did Aaron say here? Dad always has, when you let people borrow money, give it as a gift, never expect to get it back. Do you know something? I've always said that as well. Never give people more money than you can afford to lose, because the chances are you won't see it again. Yeah, Aaron, I quite agree. Yeah. So that is a really now this one, again, you might need to be older to understand this one. All my life, I've wanted just once to say something really clever without losing my train of thought. Oh gosh, I relate to that. Where was I when I started that story? Yeah. And then how about Robert Frost said, by working faithfully 8 hours a day, you may eventually get to be the boss and work 12 hours a day. I've been there and done that one. I can remember being on stage once, and I said to the audience of entrepreneurs, when I was working for a boss, working 8 hours a day, I really wanted to be an entrepreneur so I could work a half a day. And I said, I've succeeded. It's just which 12 hours am I going to work? How about the green banana follow-up here, Jody? Older people shouldn't eat health food. They need all the preservatives they can get. Or how about Robin Williams, who said, I'm sorry, if you were right, I'd agree with you. And he also said, why did they call it rush hour when nothing moves? Roger Dangerfield said, my psychiatrist told me I was crazy, and I said, I want a second opinion. He said, okay, you're ugly too. I like that one, yeah. I believe that if life gives you lemons, you should make lemonade. And try and find somebody whose life has given them vodka. Have a party. Any idea who said, it's true, hard work never killed anybody, but I figure, why take the chance? Ronald Reagan said that. Or how about inflation is when you pay $15 for a $10 haircut you used to get for $5 when you had hair. Or Samuel Goldwyn said, a verbal contract isn't worth the paper it's written on. That's smart. Another one from Samuel Goldwyn. I didn't know he had a sense of humor as well. I don't want any yes men around me. I want everybody to tell me the truth, even if it costs them their jobs. Now, if there are no stupid questions, then what kind of questions do stupid people ask? Do they get smart just in time to ask a question? Oh, that is very clever. Think about that. If there are no stupid questions, then what kind of questions do the stupid people ask? Do they get smart just in time to ask the question? Oh, Sid Caesar, if any of you remember him. Sid Caesar said the trouble with telling a good story is that it inevitably and invariably reminds the other fellow of a dull one. Oh, that is so true. Got to remember the zip. How about crocodiles are easy. They try to kill and eat you. People are harder. Sometimes they pretend to be your friend first. Listen to this one carefully. It does not matter whether you win or lose. What matters is whether I win or lose. Now, this one, think about this one. It requires just a little bit of thought, right? The early bird gets the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese. Think about that. Now, this is a quote that I've used many times when I was on stage because it is so true. To steal somebody's idea is called plagiarism. To steal from many people is research. You know, I love that quote. All right, very famous quote here, and probably most of you will know who said it, but it's not that I failed. I've just found 10,000 ways it won't work. Know who said that? And, you know, I wish that people understood that. And the only people who understand that are people that want to find the answer to something. It's not that you failed, it's you found a way that doesn't work. All right? Thomas Edison said that about making the light bulb. He also said that opportunity is missed by people because it's dressed in overalls and looks like hard work. Yes, it's so true, isn't it? Now, this one is very profound, so take a deep breath. It takes considerable knowledge to just realize the extent of our own ignorance. So, I know that there are people who do not love their fellow man. I hate people like that. Tom Lehrer said that. Now, W.C. Fields said, a rich man is nothing but a poor man with money. But he also said, always carry a flagon of whiskey in case of a snake bite. And furthermore, always carry a small snake so you can drink the whiskey. All right. And he also said, if at first you don't succeed, try again, then quit. There's no point in being a damn fool about it. If we're all here on earth to help others, what on earth are the others here for? My doctor gave me 6 months to live, but when I couldn't pay the bill, he gave me 6 months more. Walter Matthau said that. Half our life is spent trying to find something to do with the time we've rushed through our life to save. God, that is also true, isn't it? When I die, I want to be like my grandfather who died peacefully in his sleep. Not screaming like all the passengers in his car. Common sense and a sense of humor are the same thing, moving at different speeds. A sense of humor is just common sense dancing. I like that. And Winston Churchill said, if you're going through hell, keep going. Yes, and he also said, and you've heard me say this of him before, he also said, you have enemies? Good. That means you've stood up for something some time in your life? Yes, I'm afraid I am guilty of that. So, you've got to be very careful if you don't know where you're going, because you might not get there. Very profound. It says, people often say that motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. So why do we recommend it daily? And Zaza Gabor said, a man in love is incomplete until he's married. Then he's finished. Well, I hope some of those quotes made you smile a little. There were a few there that definitely spoke to me in certain ways. I want to just say that it's been a difficult week for some, and it's been an easier week for others, as in all weeks. So just before we close, I wanted to ask, does anybody have anything that they want to spend a couple of minutes talking about just before we go? And to know that this evening we're going to be doing our countdown to Christmas. And as I said to you at the beginning of the broadcast, we have just 24 days to go till Christmas. So we're going to be talking a little bit about this. Yeah, thank you, Jody. I just thought it was time to smile a bit. We've done some pretty serious type quotes recently, and I thought, I think I'd just like to do some fun ones. I wanted to, while we wait to find out if anybody wants to talk about anything, I wanted to say that so far, Clarence, the cleaner, for those of you who don't know, my robotic cleaner is not a 9-day wonder or a 5-day wonder. I cannot tell you the difference in my house, that daily cleaning, and sometimes twice a day. Well, the funny thing is, Nyasha, I don't know if you know what I did in my life, but I was an international motivational speaker. That is exactly what I used to do for a living for many, many years. So, mind you, one of the things that I found being a speaker, Nyasha, was that I didn't, and people used to say, you're so funny. And I go, yeah, that's because I tell the truth. And, to me, motivation is not something that you can give somebody else. Although that used to be the irony of it, because one of the things that I found is that, all I used to do was sit and talk, or stand and talk and walk. And people would say, you're so motivating. And I'm going, no, actually, I'm not. I just stand here and flap my lips. What you do with what I say is motivating. You see, motivation is something you do for yourself. It's not something that other people do for you. It's very important to understand that. Now, if because I flap my lips that, that inspires you to do something, that's great. But I can assure you that every week that I broadcast, other people inspire me. You see, I'm not that noble. I listen to stories from Erin or Jody or Lauren or, any of the viewers, Linda in the UK. To me, that is what is motivating. To me, that is incredible. I look at what they've done and I am inspired to continue. So, but I thank you for the compliment, Nyasha. But the day that you realize that you are your own motivation, and, you asked me a question this week, Nyasha, and, I really recommend you get some help on your stuff, because you deserve it. I think about some of the things you're going through at your age, and I'm thinking, wow, you definitely need somebody to guide you into the right way of dealing with this, because it's a minefield that you were in. Well, that's kind of you to say. For those of you watching on the replay and won't see what just got said, Nyasha said, I understand, but to me, you take the time to listen and to assist them with whatever it is. And that's why I like it. I do, yes, but we all do, Nyasha. That's our job in life, isn't it? I believe our job in life is to pay it forward. And so the same way as Jody does, as all the other viewers do, we all have good times and bad times. And that's why we started this. We started DearMamaSal so we could help one another. And I think it's really important for people to realize that this is, not just me, right? We are a group, an extended family of people who care about one another. And when I say care about one another, we are smart enough to know we cannot change another person. What we can do is to hold their hand while they get brave enough to change themselves. That is the secret. Because we all hit life in our own time at our own speed. And some people hit it faster than others. Some people take a lot longer. And some people may never change. That's okay. I really do believe that when we can help other people as best we can, that's when we make a difference. And so I think it's really important that we understand that, and that we sometimes will never know how much we help people. Well, something, I don't think it's about being slow, Nyasha, at all. One of the things I say to people when they comment on things, I say, what we have to understand is that everybody learns at their own pace, and it's not necessarily that you're slow. I've known people that probably are considered to be, highly intelligent people that learn things quite slowly because they don't want to let go of their ego or whatever it is that they don't want to let go of. You see, one of the great gifts in life is when you realize that you are here to make yourself happy. You can't constantly blame everybody else for what's happening to you or your situation. You can't blame them forever. Sometimes you've got to turn around and go, this is my life. This is not a dress rehearsal. I don't get to do this again. And so this is my life. What do I need to do right now so that I can be happy? And it's a difficult decision for people to make because they have to let go of a lot of things sometimes. And, I think it's really important that we are here to sort of help one another through these difficult times. And they are, in my view. So this evening, we're going to be talking about Christmas, and I will probably do it with my Christmas tree in the background. It's not fully put together yet, but it's enough that I can put it as a background. So then we'll get into 'tis the season to be jolly. So everybody, thank you so much for being here. I hope that some of the quotes made you smile, even a little bit. And I also would say to you, take things as they are. Stop trying to change everything. That I've always said, if today is the best day of your life, how do you make yourself happy with what you have today? Not what you wish you had, not what you used to have, not what you wish could happen. What is it about today that you can make productive? What is it about today that can make you smile? And, some of you know that it's a really important thing to understand in life, that every day you wake up is a blessing. Every day that you have the ability to laugh, you should, in my view. Should is a guilt word, so let me be careful of that one. But, it's up to us to make our lives more fun. So here's hoping that you have a fun time until I see you again in a few hours. I'm off to go and mail those international cards. Yay. I'm so proud of myself for that. And then I need to wrap one present because I'm taking it with me tomorrow. And then I will be well on track for this evening's broadcast. So everybody, a big hug to you all. Thank you for being here. Hope that you got a smile or two. This is Dear Mama Sal saying bye-bye for now.